Hey everybody, this is Brian here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about seizure update, especially in the month of May, and about increased seizures. Uh, Especially, I wanted to talk about this to people who are dealing with frequency, increased frequency of grand mal seizures out of nowhere, like if you were healthy before, or if you're dealing with a late onset illness, or if you're just coping with this, still you matter too. And and empathy and love and prayers for all of you guys. I hope that you get better and you feel better. But yeah, May has been a real hard month for me to get to the update. I found myself kind of comatose, kind of lethargic, more so in bed because I've had less time to recuperate from physical stress and trauma from the seizures, especially the ones that involve pairs of them for several days in a row. I find external factors affect me more, the ones that amped me up, like even things like fast music or caffeine, that didn't really bother me as much before. Now it's almost affecting me as strongly as pretend you're a person whose immune system has kind of gone down and you're being affected by just any old thing you step on the ground. If you're like me and the seizures are going from a storm arriving infrequently to a black cloud hovering constantly, I wanted you to be aware of the reality that even though it can be harder to be happy like before sickness affected your life, it's not an impossibility. You're still you, even though the fog and tense muscles can make it harder to see. You're still beautiful or strong, even if the falls and the days healing in bed have left, scars or a few added pounds. Most of all, I want you to know that you're not unloved and you're not alone, because I'll always love all of you because of who you are, even if we haven't met. Just in terms of just we're all spirits in the universe kind of hovering around in a way. And I wanted you to know that you're not alone, and that basically you're all loved because of who you are, and you're not dealing with these types of things as the only person that went through them. I want you to know that there's other people who are dealing with this type of thing, and that I've dealt with a lot of increased seizures this month too. But this video isn't really about me. Most of all, I wanted to tell you I love you guys, and that even though it's a little harder to be happy than before, the sudden onset of increased seizures for a person, it can kind of leave them, fractured and a little confused. But don't feel broken. That's the message of this video. Because even when the lessening of days that are there to recuperate or enjoy life without auras and pre-seizure mode, even when those days, basically the amount of the gap between seizures um, decreases, it doesn't mean that you still can't be a beautiful person with a meaningful life. A few things I would recommend. These are things, ways to deal with things such as feelings of a loss of independence, or things that tend to happen when you start having seizures out of nowhere. Like for me, I'll tell you later in this video about the story of how that kind of happened to me, and why, um, basically, um, you know, I, I'll stop rambling here. The jaw myoclonus is starting to affect me. But if you want to feel less independent, or if you, not if you want to feel less independent, but if you are feeling less independent because the seizures have taken away your ability to cook or drive or do other certain things as easily as you used to, take a deep breath and realize that those things aren't gone. It's just a little bit more arduous. If you had a hobby or an art form, practice in smaller bits, and spread things out over several hours, like across the day, like 15 minutes at a time. The key is to break it up and spread it out. So if you play guitar like I do, I'm not able to play for 2 hours anymore, and I have to play sitting down now. But I can still do it if I play for basically, if I kind of make those amounts of time that I'm playing add up, I can play for 45 minutes to an hour a day if I'm feeling well enough uh, to actually set all my things up and to basically engage in the activity. It's not gone. It's really not. If you lost a relationship or a job due to seizures, remember anyone who truly loves you and wants you around will do so for who you are naturally and innately and inside. Anyone else is a fair weather fan, so to speak, and they're an asshole. So they're not worth having around. So if you feel alone or sad or depressed because you've lost something due to the sudden increase or sudden beginning of seizures, I just want you to know that whatever you've lost isn't worth as much as who as you are as a person. I lost my license, my ability to go to school right after I had gotten my AA, and I was about to transfer. They told me I shouldn't have kids because I would pass on things. Um, and it just came over me like a rainstorm. Suddenly, one day, I woke up in the back of an ambulance, not knowing where I was and getting yelled at by a bunch of dickheads in medical uniforms. I wanted to share this story with you, not to swear and be crass, but so um, that you can realize that you're not alone and that you can return to a regular and happy life. I've had a happy life even though had epilepsy now for almost 5 years. And my birthday's coming up, so it's going to be 5 soon. Because I had my first seizure like on my birthday, believe it or not, like a day after. I think it was actually the day before, June 15th. My birthday is the 17th. Um, but yeah. Anyways, I know that increased sudden onsets of seizures, uh, all of a sudden you feel like you lose a lot of your independence, and it makes it harder. It feels like getting kidnapped away from the way they used to be. And I just want you to know that your life, even if it's harder, even if the amount of time um, that is there to uh, recover and to actually engage in the things that made your life feel meaningful, even if it feels like that time gap has decreased, don't think it's gone away. It's like a long winter. I just want you to know that an increase in seizures is like a long winter. It's like that, but long winters aren't eternal. I just want you to know that that it will turn into a spring bloom after that long winter if you just realize that being creative in the ways that you address your stress factors, and that you engage in your hobbies, such as spreading them out or doing them in safer ways. um, you can still lead a life adjacent to the one you led before, even if things are a little bit harder. And it may not be uh, possible to go back to the way things were before. Seizures typically don't go away for a lot of people, and they haven't for me. And if they don't for you, then I'm sorry. But I just want you to know that the meaningfulness of life doesn't go away, even if seizures stay. And so I love you all because you're you. You're all beautiful human beings, and seizures don't change that. Even a few scratches or nicks from a fall, even 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 if you broke your arm, or even if you fell down some stairs, even if it was a much more severe injury, I just want you to know that even if seizures have made life harder, they haven't made it impossible to lead. And I've realized lately, being depressed from this increase in seizures, that it's harder for me to be happy on the days on my calendar that are supposed to be the ones that are my happy days, if you will, the days that aren't where I'm in bed, lethargic and foggy mentally with short-term mental or memory loss, and and the days that are supposed to be the ones in between, now it's only 2 or 3 days. And so it feels like it's Groundhog Day in terms of trying to get back and practice at guitar, get my stuff organized, and fulfill my responsibilities, hang out with people socially. It just begins to feel like, like you're running on empty, um, but all of a sudden, I thought, if I'm feeling sad on the days that are respectively, relatively speaking, it's supposed to be my happy days, that I should be doing something different, because if I'm unhappy on the days that are, uh, I could. I could not be alive, so to speak. Seizures they could come at any point, and there's SUDEP, and if you've had seizures, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I all of a sudden started feeling a lot happier, because I realized, in a relative sense, that that I'm lucky just to be here at all, and that I'm happy for the ways that I can do things, even if they're different. And I want you to be happy, and to realize that you can still do things, even if you have to do them differently a little bit. And even if you're unhappy about the loss of some things, like going on 15-mile runs alone without anyone to accompany you, or without any sort of medication, or you know, I just want you to know that even if things become more arduous, and there's more rocks in the road, that you can still drive on that road. There's dirt roads in the forest where people live, for God's sakes. I used to live uh, in the woods in like Santa Cruz, and I remember driving down a dirt road after a rain had fallen, and it was kind of scary, because it's like, your tires are bald and shit. But I'm rambling now, and I just wanted to tell you that even when things become harder, don't give up, or think that you're running on empty, because even when you're low on gas in the tank, it doesn't mean that there's nothing more to drive for. So thank you for watching. I love you all because you're you. And sorry for any rambling or anything in this video. It's been a while for me since I've actually made one, because of all the health issues that I've incurred recently. So I hope that any of these tips help people who are dealing with similar issues to the ones that I am, in terms of sudden increase in seizures out of nowhere, or if you're dealing with them like increasing twofold or threefold, or if you're even dealing with multiple ones a day. There's a lot there's really everyone's epilepsy, or seizures period, are an individual thing. So I just want you to know that you're respected, you're not alone, and that basically, that you're not empty, and that even if you feel sad because of a loss of something, like even independence or a relationship, things that are some of the most important things in all of our lives, I just want you to know that um, those types of things aren't gone, even when they're just kind of spread with vanishing cream, if you will. They're not gone. It's just an illusion. You're still you. You're still beautiful. You're still independent. You can still do the things you did before. You may just have to change the way you do it. And so that's the main point of this video on increased frequencies of seizures. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Brian out.